Warning, the following video has flashing lights and also includes content that may be deemed inappropriate for some viewers. Viewer discretion is advised. Brother Nature, aka Nooxium, once again, you have found your way into the darkness of the fox den to awaken me from my slumber for another episode of Midnight Lycanthropy here on LordeStarfox Radio. Yet please, I am so hungry. Absolutely delicious. Thank you, Brother Nature, for releasing me from my shackles and allowing me to revamp myself. Now that I am completely powered up, it is once again time for Brother Nature and LordeStarfox to take a walk into the madness.
Stood up. I said, oh my god, it's a werewolf. And everybody in the car freaked out.
My creatures of the night, yes, welcome back to another episode of Midnight Lycanthropy here on LordeStarfox Radio. We, of course, have a member of the Midnight Society science team and a good friend of mine, Nooxium, aka Brother Nature, a master tracker. Yes, is already sitting around the late night fire and waiting for us to enter the fox den and join him. Tonight, we, for the most part, are going to allow Nooxium to take center stage and really give us a little bit of a biography of who he is, why he got into tracking, some of his most recent endeavors. Brother Nature, how you doing tonight, man? What have you been up to?
Oh man, Kenny, I'm doing good. Thank you so much for having me here. I'm totally excited. Missed you, man. Hope you're doing well.
Appreciate you. Definitely always good to sit down and touch base with you. Miss you too. It's great that you always check in. So thanks, man. What have you been up to?
Well, at the moment, I just got back, Kenny, from it's already been about 3 or 4 weeks already. But I went to Washington State. I went further up north. I went to Madeline, and I went to the Madeline Bigfoot Festival up there, where I was able to show, 18 of my latest Sasquatch tracks. I went on an expedition by myself not too long ago, and I was able to take them up there and show those tracks. And then I came all the way back. Check this out. I'm right now in the Redwood Forest over by Half Moon Bay, up in Skyline Boulevard. Beautiful redwood forest here, where I am flipping a house. And I've been working on that house since I got back here. And July 3rd, I started this gig. So I'm here and I'm working, doing this job. So in between when I go tracking, I do odd jobs. Or this is not actually an odd job. This is a serious job I'm doing. I'm flipping the entire house just about. But just something I do. I've been doing for a long, long time. Helps me pay for my tracking endeavors, man.
Yes, staying busy. Excellent stuff right there. Yeah, let's rewind a little bit. Let's start back to younger Nuxium.
Well, boy, that's a lot of stuff right there, Kenny and folks. At a very young age, to me, nature was secondhand. I was fortunate to grow up with some of my Native American elders who used to take me hiking out as a young age. My cousin Rogelio or Corcha, and I lived close to the hills, and so I had a creek just 2 blocks away from where I lived. So to me, nature was really easy to get to. I'll tell you, back in those days, my brothers, they took me up in the hills. Check this out, the weirdest story ever, man. They took me up in the hills, and they took me up there, Kenny and folks, and we went to back hiking in the what is known as the Dakota Hills, where I grew up in. So it took me about a mile and a half back, and my brothers Raymond and Ruben, they gave me a stick. They gave me a hiking stick, and they told me, "Hey, bro, you got to find your own way home." They pushed me down and said, "Find your own way home." They're older than me, and they ran, man. They took out running, and I'm all there alone, and I have my stick, and I'm all alone in the wilderness, and I'm all trying to keep up with these dudes, but they're way faster. They know the trails more than I do, and they're gone. And before they left, they just said, "Follow the creek home." So I followed the creek home. As I'm following the creek home, I have to walk a mile and a half back even to get to where I need to get to the trail to get home. So anyway, along that way, I called it my first enlightenment, man, because right then I knew that I was destined to be a naturalist. I felt good. I felt good here. This is where I belong. And I don't know, you might say it's been a lifelong endeavor after that. So that creek, that played an instrumental thing in my life because I had to get to school. There's a bridge, and then right then you get across the bridge. Check this out. One day I was looking at my school, and I was looking at the trail that went right into the creek, and I took off. I don't know. I just couldn't get enough of nature right there, and then like the educational systems that we have here didn't make any sense to me because I didn't want to learn what they wanted to teach me and what I needed to learn. I was telling my dad that he's all, because I was cutting class, going in the hills, and my parents were, going, "What are you doing?" I'm all, "Hey, you know what? They can't teach me what I need to know." I don't know, man. So anyway, that began my tracking career. Things balanced out in many different ways because I was really hardcore into baseball also. I was on traveling baseball teams, and then at the same time, you know, going in the hills as much as I possibly can. And also, I grew up in I don't know, a real beautiful, rough, messed up, tough neighborhood. All my friends are there. So, the hills, they were like a salvation to me. So I couldn't wait to get up there. So training for baseball, getting up at 6 o'clock in the morning, running up in the hills before I'd go to school. So I became, accustomed just checking out the different seasons, the cycles of life. I was checking out, newts and the California newt and, the chorus frogs that we have here and in the winter, and then checking out reptiles in the summer. So, that to me was the real education. So it's just something I never stopped doing, Kenny. And folks, I do it to this day. I'm a 64-year-old dude, man. I'm still in shape. And, it's because nature helps me keep in shape and helps me clear my mind, spirit, body, physical. everything down the line, during my upbringing, there was a lot of excellent people who knew about medicinal plants, edible foods of the forest. It was just divinely guided, I believe. I went on a wildlife hike with a naturalist at Sonoma Wilderness with this woman named Joanne Dean Freemeyer. I was blown away at her knowledge of, of flowers. Later on, she became my boss. She interviewed me, and I go, "Hey, this is many years later down the line, man." I was all, "Hey, you know what? I can't believe you're right across from me, and you're interviewing me." She wound up hiring me, and she became best friends too. So she knew many, many things, man, and just an enormous amount of people that I was guided to throughout my whole life. Incredible. And my cousin Roy Korchak, he's the master himself. My cousin, man, he's a legend in our family. Yeah, he took me hiking on many trips, teaching me the edible foods of the forest, but also a philosophy of life and our Native American ways of life. We're so, we're Yaqui, and so I was able to get a lot of that Native American knowledge my way, and then later on in life mix it with science, right? So young me, I was always hiking around, and I was always enjoying animal tracks and following where they were going. But it wasn't until like I was 27 that I learned how to plaster cast tracks. I was an interpretive student aide. That woman that I was talking to you about, Joanne Freemeyer, that was a job for an interpretive aid program, for the East Bay Regional Park District. She hired me on there. Ooh. So as an interpretive student aide, you get to go to you're in what is known as the academy. So there's classes in geology, entomology, aquatic biology, and animal tracking, man. So I'm a young dude. I'm just getting out of college. I'm doing my internship. Boom. So anyway, that interpretive student aid training academy, an excellent mammologist came over, Ron Russo, man, and the dude had all kinds of his tracks, and he was showing us. And me being a student of tracking my entire life, but without really knowing anything about science about it, here I am coming across this excellent scientist who has all this knowledge of tracks. He plaster casted all these tracks from wherever he went. And I said, "Oh, that's what I'm going to do the rest of my life, man." Because I'm always outside. And right from then, that set me on my way as a tracker. My tracks are a little bit different casted than other people's tracks. I'm not, I'm a professional tracker. So from there, you're outside. The more that you do, the more that you're gonna learn your technique better. So just everywhere I go, my tracking bag always has plaster of Paris in it, man, and everything that I need to make an excellent track, as big as a bear. So, yeah, Kenny. So, that's where I'm at now.
That's brilliant stuff right there. Churning away the knowledge, my friend. Now, I just think it's important that people out there have an understanding as to who you are, what you do. I'm a big advocate of science and making sure to let everybody know quality information is out there. Just because I'm an investigative photojournalist, my opinions don't stem just from myself. I don't play in my own little mud puddle. I bring in individuals such as yourself all the rest of my other scientists to work with to try and figure out what's going on. I've been doing this with all my scientists, trying to let them really explain who they are, what they do, what got them into the specific topic that they cover with us. So, again, great stuff. I do want you to touch base on your newest expedition here a little bit, because I also know you're really excited about the tracks you found.
Let me tell you about my latest expedition. And it involves Sasquatch. Some people call it Bigfoot, but I like Sasquatch. Anyway, it's that itself is a long story, but Kenny, I really appreciate the opportunity to tell my story on your program, because there's very few cryptid programs that I even talk to this about, because I don't really trust too many. I think that but you're the real deal, man, and I could tell that you're a really good friend of mine. And a lot of the time, we've been talking over the last few years, many years. You're one of the only confidants that I have about the Dogman incident that I have, that I also tracked, right? And I don't talk to too many people about it at all, but I talked to you about it. So, you're one of my only confidants, and now, your audience is my confidants too, because I don't really talk about it too much to anybody. But, I like, you and I know I go tracking. That's what I do, man. 4 years ago when I tracked the Dogman, that's a whole different story in itself. And you know what, those tracks were so beautiful that I couldn't not track the Dogman. I mean, that's, to me, the creator gave me a challenge, and somehow I got to go that way. Well, you know what? It's the same thing that happened again. 4 years. That I came across that Dogman. My health, a lot of things went south on me, because, shoo, it took a while to get balanced. Anyway, in many ways, spiritually, emotionally, physically, you name it, man. And when you go out there and you do what I do, you track these things that I do. These are just a few things that I've seen out there too, by the way. There are other things I've seen out there. Some have names, some don't. I'm a naturalist in the Sierra Nevada mountains. My jurisdiction is all the way to Mount Shasta, Crescent City, all the way to Aptos, California, back to Yosemite National Park, and every single ecosystem in between. That's my jurisdiction. I'm a naturalist. I take my job seriously. So, I have all these wonderful tracks of all different animals that I have from every ecosystem that I go to. And, like I said, so luckily, I was waiting for my opportunity. I'm going, the Dogman tracks, they still haven't been analyzed by other than Ronnie LeBlanc. Anyway, he and I got to sit down and take a look at my tracks seriously, one by one. I'll show you what I know. And, we had that camaraderie. So I finally got a little bit off my chest, a little bit, right? However, going back, this Sasquatch encounter, it just happened just 2 months ago. So I was waiting 4 years for the creator to give me my next opportunity, man. And sure enough, he did. This happened in Northern California. My godson, he was skeptic all the way forever. He's jabbing me about this and that. I let it all go. I have to let things go, because there's a lot of skeptic people out there. However, I'm going to let you people know, man, tracks don't lie, and neither do I. And I challenge anybody to look at my tracks and tell me what they are. Because I've seen these creatures and I tracked them myself. So I'll tell you, the tracks that I have, they're the real deal, man. And so am I. So I just wanted to put that out there because sometimes it gets a little touchy. However, over that amount of time, plus you, Kenny, you're one of my only people that could really understand. So I really appreciate you for that, man, because that was some deep stuff back then, and you were able to calm me down because you got a good demeanor, man. And people like us who have encounters like that, we actually need someone like you to, whew, because we don't have anybody to talk to. Because the people around us are watching television half their time and go, oh, wow, wow, wow. So anyway, check this out. I'm going to go back to the present right now. So my godson, he's a trucker. He's going out through Northern California and he has the late night route. And he's turning a right turn somewhere and he sees the Sasquatch. He was sitting down. And then as soon as he put his truck right there, he stopped on it, put his high beams on it. Sasquatch stood right up, covered his eyes, and went into the forest. So right then, he took off, did his route, and then, I got word that he saw the Sasquatch, so we connected together, called him up, was what the heck's going on, man? Anyway, he gave me the exact coordinates where this took place. And man, just like I'm telling you all, I have my tracking bag. It's ready to go at all times. Plus my camping gear. All my stuff is ready. It's ready right now. So anyway, soon as he gave me those coordinates, the very next morning at 4:00 in the morning, I was gone. And sure enough, man, I went right to where he was at. I scouted around and I found the trail of the Sasquatch. Because that's what I do. I'm a naturalist. I go out there, I look for something out there that don't make sense. Something's off, something's here, something happened. I look for a disturbance. I see it, I find it, I go for it. Now I found the trail and everything. There's some things about this that I can't tell right now. However, I got on that trail. I got on the trail of the Sasquatch, Kenny and folks. I found something extraordinary and significant. I'm just blessed and cursed and blessed at the same time. I found its feeding area. This is after it was raining heavy just a few months ago where I was at. And it rained for like 3 or 4 days. So, it's in an oak woodland. So the river is right there. And then you have the riparian zone. Right next to it is the oak woodland, and right there next to that is the coniferous forest. So you have ecotones all in a row. Well, the Sasquatch had come in. It had come in from the mountains high, came in, and then came right through the oak woodlands, and it found an area where it could, the area was fully saturated, and the Sasquatch was pulling out boulders out of the hillside here with one hand and scooping prey with the other. So it's eating small animals. Many things could be in there. So the Sasquatch is in total close proximity within itself, for one thing. The hillside's totally saturated. The boulders, everything is muddy. It's slipping and sliding. It's on a downgrade, not too bad. 1/3 of a downgrade. So his footprints are going really deep in the earth, man. He hits it hard, but at the same time, he's distributing his arms on his footprints. He's knuckling quite like a gorilla does. Only this guy's a 12-foot gorilla. He's bigger than a gorilla. He's big. He's huge. Anyway, I seen him. It's not just, a bear. Check this out. This is bear. A bear will get its claw and it'll rip into a boulder and it'll pull backwards, right? That's what its claw does. It doesn't, it's designed to go back. The Sasquatch has hands, his thumbs, so he could pull out a boulder and he could throw it in front of him. So not only is he throwing the boulders in front of him, he's throwing them in back of him. And he's just moving them over, man, and scooping out prey. And at the same time, his footprints are mixed with his handprints. And it was so muddy in that area that when he put his handprints in the earth, he left dermal ridges. So a lot of my tracks that I have are actually, they're handprints. And the footprints that I have also have hand in them. So there's like hand knuckling going on here. And, they're so unusual. I go, well, it's really simple, man. I'm going to have to plaster cast 25 tracks. That was my goal. I was able to plaster cast 18. There's a possibility, I might go back. These tracks are extraordinary. And, this, like I said, this is only 2 months. This has been 2 months, man. I'm barely even getting over this emotionally. So right now I'm even getting it out of my system by talking to you, because you know what? I don't get to talk to anybody about this because people can't believe it, but they won't take a look at my tracks. That's no big deal to me, man, because you know what? Like I said, tracks don't lie, and either do I. And it's not like I don't have these tracks. I have them. And you know what? They're really beautiful tracks. And I use more plaster on these Sasquatch tracks than I ever did on any other track. And they're absolutely amazing, even if I do say so myself. And the next thing that I need to have happen with these tracks is that I need to get them laser scanned. I've been asking that for 4 years with my Dogman tracks. And, like I said, man, health-wise, financially, everything, it's been a struggle. However, I do it. I'm still here. I'm still here. And then I could go progress onto my next level. I'm into it for the science and the spirituality of it all, So I'm not really into it for the fame. I want to let people know that there's Sasquatch out there. You know what? Stop chopping down the forest. So, I've been looking for a partner to help me out financially on that end. And I still have these tracks. And it's not like I'm scared to share them to anybody. I'll show them to anybody. I just, and I'm not here to scare people either. I want you all to know dusk to dawn is our time as a human to go out there and go hiking with friends, man. 3 or 4, there's safety in numbers. Be careful. Take all your provisions. Go in there, come back safe. You could do it. I've been doing it all these years. These creatures are out there. So if you're going to go out there, you might encounter them. So just be aware of that. People who deny these things are living in a fantasy world. It's they're spotted all over they're spotted in a lot of places all over this country and elsewhere. Either there's a lot of people who are liars, or you know what? There's a lot of excellent mask makers out there that could create these costumes where these 12-foot Shaquille O'Neal friends of mine could fit in there and run through the forest and leave their footprints on the ground. That's where I'm at with all that.
Well, first off, man, thank you for the very kind words. I appreciate that. Consider you a good friend as well. I'll always help you out as much as I can. I try to put your images up everywhere possible. I literally am so flooded with editing and trying to just get my brand properly focused in the right direction, that I legit just edit all the time, try to trim down the hours I have stored in the good old oven for Midnight Lycanthropy. Yeah, like I said, I always got time for my friends. Everyone that's helped me out has got me to being able to achieve something I really wanted to here. So I always definitely pay it back. Yeah, keep on doing those excellent things you're doing, my friend. And no time for people that aren't going to at least listen to you and support what you're going to do. Keep plugging away for sure. Everything you said tonight was brilliant. I do want to, at some point when I'm a little bit more caught up, be good to get you on at least bi-weekly. Like I said, I just have so much to do with editing and things. No complaints. Got to edit to make great content. Yet we will be getting you back on here soon. It's really important to allow individuals such as yourself to, well, explain what you are, why you take interest in the subject, what you've been up to. So again, brilliant stuff. Well, to the audience, yes, Nuxium is a very busy individual. As he previously mentioned in the beginning of the episode, he is helping some individuals, no pun intended, with property management. He just got out of work to join us for the late night. Yes, we should kindly allow him now to attend to things that he may enjoy. So definitely, man. Thank you for hanging out tonight and giving everybody this great information like you always do.
You know what? Thanks so much, Kenny, for having me here. And you know, before I take off, I just want to mention a few people that I want to say thank you to and hello and check this out really quick. Donnie Baker, Jay Goodall, Diane Fossey, Jeremy Wade, Mike Kozlowski, Kenny Tibero, my cousin Rolando Pertas Jr., my son Vincent and family, Paula Cordova, Randy Stewart, Shelly Harris, Carlito Castro, Katie Elizabeth, and many more. I'll get you the rest later on next time.
My creatures of the night. Ooh, I do adore every single one of you. And thank you for hanging out tonight. Please like, comment, subscribe, share the truth to the algorithm. And remember, the best way to support the channel is please check out my merch shop listed in the description down below.